And welcome back to the CSIR, and as you can see, we've now moved indoors and very exciting here. Many exhibitors, and we'll show you some of those products as we go along. But first off, let's speak to the Director General, and he's with me now, Dr. Phil Mjwara, and talking to the department and its mandate here with this Science Forum. Mr. Dr. Mjwara, thanks so much for your time this morning. So let's first start with the department and the name change that you've undergone. Does that change your mandate at all?
It expands the mandate because we continue to invest in science, and therefore that aspect of our work will continue. But the innovation component means that as a department in government, we have to look for innovations that will assist the country in transforming the economy, in addressing some of the social challenges, but thirdly, to assist government to be a capable state. So we will be putting programs, working with other government departments to achieve these three main objectives in the innovation space.
So we're talking science, technology, innovation, and as you correctly indicate, all of this at some point needs to be scalable, and it also needs to benefit the economy somehow. So what are your plans in that regard as a department?
To start off with, you do know that we have at an institutional arrangement set up the offices of technology transfer from a number of universities, and the exhibitions that you see around here are coming from these public institutions and these offices of technology transfer that help researchers to take the ideas that they have at least into a technology development stage. Secondly, we have a technology innovation agency. You've had a chance to see their stand. Their mandate is to provide funding to these ideas from the universities and other public institutions to take them into early commercialization stage. We will then, as a department now of science and innovation, work to get more money, both from the Treasury but also other government departments, because these innovations are not only innovations for us as a Department of Science and Innovation, these are innovations that are going to increase high-tech, small startup companies, and we would like to work with the Department of Small Business. We would like to support mining activities. You probably will have heard as you walk around that there is an innovation, for instance, that is looking at early combustion or self-combustion in the coal and in the mining industry. So we want to work with other government departments. But thirdly, we have already started conversation with the Treasury to increase what we call an innovation fund. And this innovation fund will have three components. The one component will be looking at funding all of these startups as they enter into the marketplace. The second part is to partner with other funders that have shown interest to partner with government to leverage additional funding. There are a number of development finance institutions such as the IDC that have already expressed interest to partner with ourselves, the bank, the Development Bank of Southern Africa. So we would like then to use part of that money to leverage that funding. Thirdly, there is another private sector fund, VC fund. In fact, later today I will be talking to them around how we can co-finance with them, because as you get into the marketplace, these technologies have been de-risked and they have been proven that they can work in the marketplace. The private sector is willing to finance these as well.
Dr. Mjwara, the Innovation Bridge, of course, that matchmaking session between innovators and funders, that's also taking place. That's the focus today. But as we speak to that, we also cannot ignore the question of intellectual property. And intellectual property rights as, one of those stumbling blocks when it comes to commercializations, because innovators may choose to take whatever innovations they have outside of the country. So what sort of conversations are you having, and what sort of strides have been made in that regard?
We have a legislation that guides the management of intellectual property from institutions that receive public funds. And what the legislation says is that the institution that is the major funder of the intellectual property owns the intellectual property. But secondly, we also encourage the institutions that receive public funds to come with benefit sharing arrangements with those that have an interest in commercializing technology. So for instance, if you have somebody who says, I don't have the expertise to commercialize this, you sign a licensing agreement. So that's also provided for in the law. And then of course, if you take the innovation or IP from South Africa out of the country, you have to get permission from the National Intellectual Property Management Office that we have set up in partnership with the Reserve Bank. So I think we have provided a legislative that, one, protects the interest of the taxpayers, but two, provide guidance to the institution around the framework within which they can manage the intellectual property, and three, to make sure that there are benefit sharing agreements that are favorable to both those that would like to take these innovations or these technologies, but also for the recipients of the public funds.
And this, of course, is not just a South African property, the Science Forum. It's an African property, as it were. And how are you faring in terms of attracting African students and innovators to this particular part of the world?
From last year, I think we did well because last year we partnered with the African Academy of Sciences, so we were able to attract a large number of innovators from the rest of the continent. We continue to want to work closely with the African Union, but I mean, in terms of how many have we attracted to be exhibitors here, I think we are a long way to achieve the ambition of having half of these exhibitions or these innovations showcased here from the rest of the continent. But we will continue to try and achieve that, because the ambition is that this is a forum not only for us in South Africa but for the rest of the continent.
And looking at partnerships with other entities, and not just entities but also governments and other institutions worldwide, how is that going? Because there are some long-standing arrangements, but are you forging any new partnerships around the world?
We always find that in the forum there are new countries or new participants. Of course, we've got standing partners with countries like Germany, Switzerland. This year I was surprised to see Sweden, and they have a stand here and they are looking at showcasing what they can offer. With the traditional partners that we already have, they are already looking at how we can co-finance some of these innovations. Later on, I think you'll be interviewing one of the Deputy Directors General from the European Commission, and he can share with you how much partnership we have with the European Commission. My recollection says that we attract almost R500 million with the partnership with the European Commission, and it varies from research collaboration but also on now looking at innovation aspect of our partnership with the European Commission. I've also been told this year that there's a new country, Hungary. We'll be meeting them this afternoon or this morning. So we always find new countries that hear about the forum, get interested, so we are really grateful about these partnerships.
And I must say, you can feel the excitement palpable, and it just gets ramped up every year, which is quite exciting. But as we hand it back to studio, DG, if you could perhaps just stand to the side, and looking at some of the innovations and the new products that people are coming up with and showcasing here at the Science Forum. And this, of course, is the Cape Peninsula University of Technology stand, and came across something here they call BAM, and very interesting, and we were asking, what is this BAM? So if someone from the university in 30 seconds can just tell us about these BAM products, exactly what is it?
So basically they're lactose, gluten and dairy-free value-added products that have been developed from the Cape Peninsula University's Food Science and Technology Department. They're based on the Bambara groundnut, which is widespread in Africa. It's an indigenous legume, but it is very underutilized. It's extremely nutritious. It's got a very good nutritional composition, high in protein, amino acids and a lot of essential vitamins and minerals. So it's essentially a superfood. And what we're hoping to do with it is create an industry based on Bambara groundnut, running from everything from farming to agro-processing through to manufacturing and then sending it out into market. So we're really hoping for some investors to help take this forward.
I think you're in the right place. So there you have it. And these are some of the innovations that we're seeing, innovative products, gluten-free, dairy-free. That's what this product is about. So we're going to leave it there for now. We'll return and we'll speak to more innovators here at the Science Forum. It's the 5th edition of it at the CSIR International Convention Center. It's back to studio.